We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hello and welcome to Inside Out, How to Create a Life You Love. We're your hosts, Deborah Darris.
And I'm Jules Hurst. Today we'd like to introduce ourselves to you and talk about the purpose of our show.
And we are here to share success strategies to create a life you love.
From the inside out.
I am so excited, Jules. Are you excited as I am?
Yes, I am. Smile from ear to ear.
I'm flipping over any sort of anxiety and nervousness like a pancake and having it be excitement.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's what I do. Everything is reframed in my world. Any little negative thing that happens, I just put it in my mind and I say, what is the life lesson? What is the purpose? So that's always what I do.
Sounds good to me. So let's get started.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about what you've been doing this weekend. Like, what has been up with you, Jules?
Let's see. Well, this past weekend was actually on Saturday. We had the Rise Up Leadership Series that Deborah and I are both a part of. Deborah's going to do her very famous and popular
Vision board.
Thank you. All I could think of was play shop, and I knew that wasn't it.
I'm glad you said play shop because Olivia was calling it a playhouse. So, yeah, many people have seen the movie The Secret, and they talk about doing vision boards, and so that's part of it. But this leadership series is really exciting because there's not a lot of Latina empowerment in the Inland Empire.
Correct,
So.
and that's what Deborah and I are really fortunate to be a part of. One of the first, probably, Rise Up Leadership Series out there. So today was the inaugural, and I know you couldn't join us this past Saturday, but it went great. It was fabulous. And yesterday, I actually spent time with my family, which I haven't done apparently in a month. They were all reminding me that I have family too. So that was nice to actually be able to take off the etiquette hat and just be a sister, daughter, mother, pain in the butt, those kind of things.
So you could throw all your etiquette out the window.
Well, not exactly, because I'm still, I have to practice what I preach, but, just in a lesser arena, I guess, just being a family.
And I think that's so important because when we talk about success and being an entrepreneur and being a woman entrepreneur, there's so many hats that we wear and with work-life balance.
Right.
And one of the things is to create the time for what we value the most, which is our family.
Which is our family, exactly. So, but we will get into that shortly. Deborah, why don't you share with us what you've been up to this past weekend?
Do I even remember? Oh, I know. I'm very excited because I'm going to be putting on a global summit. It's going to be a conference for empowerment for Latinas. And I hired a program manager to just get all of the ideas that are in my brain into a synthesized plan. So it really was wonderful because one of the things that I realized is I can't do it all myself. And that I need to be, as a leader, I need to delegate. So having her just give me the steps, 1, 2, 3, it just took so much of the stress off my shoulders. So now I could focus on what I need to do. So
exactly. And do you find that you have, because I know I do, having, delegating, going outside and not wanting to do everything yourself, because I always think I'm going to let some of this go, but I never do because I start doing it on my own. I just figured, I'll be fine. I'll do it. But you're so much better at things than I am. But do you struggle with that?
Yeah, I used to think, if you want to get a job done right, do it yourself, right? And I read a lot of peak performance books. My expertise is peak performance. Brian Tracy wrote a book called Maximum Achievement. And he says in order to grow your company to really be a business that can be expandable, you need to be able to learn to delegate. I think it's like Eat the Frog. I think that's the name of his book that talks about that. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to grow. I'm just going to be the worker in my own business working for myself. So I had to.
Right.
I had to. And what I realized is I'm not good at everything. And so if I focus on things, on things that I'm really strong and talented on, I'll be great. If I focus on all of the little details that I'm not good on, it's not going to work. So, that's why the Inside Out is about really connecting with what are your strengths, what are your talents to be able to create that life you love.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and why don't you give us a little bit of insight about the inside portion of the Inside Out?
Yeah, well, I started my business. It's called Synergy Unlimited because I was working as a life coach, and my company was called Passionate Living Now, and I was finally free from my day job, which is coincidentally across the street from the studio that we're taping in, right at 8929 Sepulveda, working there for 12 years, and I was like stuck, and I knew that I wasn't meant for an 8 to 5 job, that I needed to do something bigger and something more, and it was killing me to stay there, but I didn't know what to do, and so there were so many of my coworkers complaining how they hated their job. And they said, well, when I retire, then I'm going to live a passionate life.
And what were you thinking? Retire? Seriously?
No, seriously. This guy, he had a clock above his head. And I said, well, when are you going to retire? Let's plan a potluck.
Right.
And he's like, 3 years from now. And I'm doing the math. I was 23 years old, Jules. And I'm like,
gosh.
I will go crazy if this retirement clock is clicking. And so I said, I want passionate living now, not when I retire.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my business. I made business cards. I didn't go to business school, but I made business cards and I put them in places I would go, like the water store and the laundromat. And I started getting clients. And I had about 35 private clients. And I was going crazy because I was doing it all myself. And so I met up with this woman named Adelaide, and we felt that we had synergy.
Okay.
So we came together and created Synergy Unlimited to be able to provide companies peak performance training to achieve more with less effort.
And so all of this started because of that ticking clock that you didn't want to hear for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Basically.
It started, people always said, how did you start your business? I said, there's 2 things you can do in life. You can either join the people that are complaining and kvetching, like my Jewish grandmother used to say, or, join in the misery, because misery really loves company.
Right.
Or you could take another path.
Okay.
And I said, I want to, and the other path is not a path that is lit up. Because as entrepreneurs, we know that we're creating new pathways that may not have even been blazed. That's
Right.
why they call us trailblazers.
Right.
But to have the faith to take one step at a time and to know I would be guided. It took me about 3 years of doing my part-time business before I had the courage and the guts to leave and to start my own business. But I knew I had to.
Okay. So when did that fire first come into you about starting your own business? We know what got you to finally do it was that ticking clock, that not going to be there for 3 years. But do you recall when?
Definitely.
Okay.
Good
Please
question.
share.
That is so important because my fire was when I was 19 years old. I was actually studying business because my Colombian dad said, if you want to be successful in this country, you have to know business. So I wanted to make a little muñequita proud. And so I, went into business. And one weekend, it was actually Valentine's Day weekend. It was 1992. My brother passed away. He had an epileptic seizure and just one day didn't wake up. And the weekend of Valentine's Day, my boyfriend had flaked on me. And I believe that everything happens for a reason.
Yes.
And I was so mad at him and I prayed about it. And I said, well, what should I do? So I was upset. And God said, you should spend the weekend with your brother. And I did not know that that was going to be the last weekend my brother was alive.
Oh, wow.
And so when my brother passed away, I realized life was short.
Right.
He was 16.
Right.
And if I was going to go forward, because I really had to decide, am I going to go forward with this life? Because I didn't feel it was fair. I want to do something that makes a difference. And so that's when I said, I'm going to change my major from business to counseling. I'm going to be a transformational agent of change in the world. And I'm going to serve people. And I know I'm going to be led. And so I started completely over. I only had 2 more quarters to get my degree in business.
Oh, my gosh. So you completely started over, and that's when phase 1 essentially began.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what led me on the path. That's what started it all. That was the fire. So anytime that I feel like scared about something, there's nothing to fear, not even death. As long as I feel that I'm on purpose and I'm doing what I'm here to do, then everything will be provided for me. And I believe that for everyone. But you have to go within.
Right.
To find out
Inside.
what your fire is, what is going to ignite your flame. And
Right.
unfortunately, many times in life, pain pushes before vision pulls. My mentor, Dr. Michael Beckwith, says that. So mine was the pain
Okay.
of my brother passing. And I'm sure other people have that as well.
Interesting. So I know. Okay. So now we're at 23. So let's fast forward a little bit. So can you give me some insight, like some of the struggles on your journey from 23 to where we're at today?
What struggles? No, I'm just kidding. Where to begin?
And I know you've written a book, which our friend, our good friend Gilda, always talks so highly
she's so
about.
sweet.
But we'll get to that. So let's get before the book. From 23. The first 5 years. What were some of the things that you just learned along the way?
Wow, you're so psychic. How did you know? It took me 5 years before I wrote the book. Pretty good, Jules. Well, because I didn't have the training to start a business, I had taken a few marketing business classes. I didn't realize that when you work for yourself, there's no hours on the door. There's no wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and leave at 5. That would be really nice and convenient. When you own your own business, you basically could work 24 hours, 7 days a week and never, ever be done.
Right.
And being a type A plus personality, not even type A, but type A plus personality, I started going crazy. And I was just working all the time. And at the same time, I was planning a wedding, my own. And so I started to notice signs and symptoms that things were going wrong. My hair was falling out in clumps. I had huge hives on my back, and my wedding dress happened to be backless. And I went from having little colds to having bronchitis to having pneumonia to being hospitalized. And I realized, oh, this is great. I have my own business, and there's no sick days when you have your own business. How am I going to do this? And I realized that I was a total adrenaline addict, that I was just killing myself thinking that, put no pain, no gain, put the axe to the grindstone.
Right,
if you're not,
right.
especially as Latinas, if you're not suffering and sacrificing,
Right.
then
Then
you're
not
doing it. All that we heard. My dad, the one Spanish he taught me was el flojo trabaja doble, which means the lazy one does double work. I was like, I don't want to be lazy. I didn't mean he meant work more efficiently.
Right.
That got lost in translation somehow. Oops. So I really, when I met Adelaide, the person who I wrote the book with, Adelaide O'Denton, I was like, you are so crazy, because I couldn't believe all the things she was doing. And she said, I learned that I needed to slow down because she developed lupus, an autoimmune disorder.
Oh, wow.
And that's how she became a yoga teacher and a life coach and learned. So she was like, I see you're going down the same path as me. And I don't want you to have to be on bed rest for a year because you can't slow down even for a moment. So she really ingrained in me the importance. And so we wanted to write a book called Time Expansion, How to Do a Million Things at Once. And when we got still, like I said, always turn within, walking on the beach right here in Playa del Rey, I heard the message from God, I believe, is write the book and confess. Talk about how crazy you were and what are the principles and the action steps to be able to be successful, but not compromise your health and well-being.
So that then takes us, now that's 5 years into. So then that takes us to your book, which is titled
Confessions of an Adrenaline Addict, How to Achieve More with Less Effort.
Okay. And I'm assuming that you use a lot of the pain with losing your brother, the clock on the wall, a lot of that to put your book together.
Yeah. One of the stories in the book when we talk about the power of now and being present and listening to our intuition, because the problem is with our daily lives is we're so busy and we're so overscheduled that we don't even have the opportunity to hear that still small voice that's guiding us. And I believe that when we are still and listen and hear and have that power of discernment, we can be guided forward from grace rather than from struggle. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be struggles in our life. And, when you think back, we've grown a lot.
Right.
But I think a lot of people like me make their lives a lot more difficult and a lot more chaotic than they need to be. And that's my commitment. That's why I'm here. I don't want to have people coming to me in their 20s with a stroke, having fibromyalgia. Some of my clients have been diagnosed with lupus, multiple sclerosis. All of these, Epstein-Barr, are autoimmune disorders that can be prevented if we just go within, listen, and are guided, because we're always being told what is our next step.
Okay. So what would be the number one lesson that you've learned from 23 to now your book? What would be the one thing that you could say and that you would take and tell people, don't do this? This was...
The number one lesson, and it's from one of the chapters of The Power of Now, is that has helped me release stress, because when you think about all the multiple things that are going on in our lives, it's so easy to be overwhelmed, is to be fully present in the now. So whenever I am anywhere, I'm there. I'm not thinking what I have to do afterward. I'm not thinking what I have to do before. And one of the things people have said, like when I network, they're like, you're so enchanting. You're so engaging. You're able to connect with people in an amazing way. And I just realized recently that that's what it is. It's the being present. Because before, and I could easily go back, it's so easily to be disconnected with technology. And everybody, even without technology, they're disconnected with their mind and all of the stuff that's going on that's racing around in the back. But if you delete that, and I have the ability to do that through practicing meditation and chanting and yoga and all of the inner work I do, praying, is I can be there. And it's so freeing because I'm not in jail with my mind and all of those negative thoughts.
So then for somebody like me, because we've had numerous conversations because we are complete opposites, especially in that area. My chatter's going on all the time and I try so hard to turn it off. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are just like myself who understand it and see people like you and want to be able to just turn it off and be in the here and the now. So what would be, I don't know, two things that you would tell myself and people out there like myself who want to understand it and believe it, but are still struggling with the being able to do it, I guess.
And that's why I love the idea of the show, and that's why I selected you perfectly, because you really can speak for the audience and to understand that. It's the yin and the yang. It's the feminine and the masculine. So when people, so much of it is our language and how we speak. So when people say they try, right? And there's this energy of, I just need to make it happen. I just need to push it through. This is the masculine energy that we as women and as men in the workplace, we've been socialized in that. We've come into a workplace that's male dominant, right? And women have just recently come in the workforce. And so we're taught that we need to push things through. Yet there's another energy, the feminine energy. So instead of pushing things through, we're allowing things through. So when people try to get rid of negative thoughts, it's impossible. The brain is actually hardwired psychologically to get us to the negative to protect us. It's the fight or flight mechanism to keep us safe.
The flight or fight mechanism.
Yeah, it's the adrenaline that gets rushed. It's from the fight or flight. It's like if there's a crisis, we need to be able to stop it, right? So when we are present and are aware that these negative thoughts, we can't try to get rid of them, but we can be compassionately aware of them. We can notice them because you cannot change what you cannot measure. So as you notice, oh my God, during these last 5 minutes, I've had 80,000 thoughts about this negative thing or this worry thing. The more you're aware of it, the less you're going to do it. That's why people that write down their food, we're going to talk about resolutions in a bit, are more likely to eat less. People that weigh themselves are more likely to eat less because when you're aware of something, that's the first step of transformation. So the one step I can give people to is to be compassionately aware. Keyword, compassion, right? Not judging, because I can hear yourself hitting yourself over the head. I'm going to start counting all the times I'm negative. No.
I have my pen. I'm ready to go.
Exactly. You're like, I'm going to start a little hashtag. No, it's not from a point of beating ourselves up. It's from a place, I'm reading your mind. It's from a place of taking yourself off the hook and saying, you know what? I'm not perfect. And for me, it was really hard because here I am, spiritual counselor, life coach, read all these books. I'm like, how could I still have these negative thoughts? How could I still be in a place of fear, worry, doubt, anxiety? And when I realized it's a natural mechanism of the brain to go to negative, but the key is just not to stay there because whatever we focus on expands.
Right. And that I completely and truly believe because as, starting out as a single mom, that circumstances, but I had visions of bigger and greater things. So this is why I'm always fighting with myself because I believed it because I've lived it, but yet one would think that I would be able to own that type of mentality and the non-negative as you're always trying to coach me to get that way, but my negative just quickly over.
And that's the key word. So instead of fighting it, whatever we resist persists. Like push your hand against me, right? Let's not hurt the mic. But whatever you resist persists, right? So if you're pushing, fighting, I'm going to fight back. But what happens when you let go?
Yeah,
boom.
It just goes.
So one of the chapters in the book is the power of surrender. So one of the tools I give people is instead of creating a to-do list, or in addition to creating a to-do list. In fact, my project manager, I love her. First thing she did is like, let's create a let go list. These are things you need to let go of for this project to move forward.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that has been a great tool for me. Number one, being present in the now.
Right.
Number two, being a compassionate witness to what are the negative thoughts that are going on. And then number three, let go of what no longer serves you. So you can't let go of other people around you, but you can let go of being judgmental. You can let go of being critical or being less critical.
Right.
It's not about, so, these are some of the things that have really, and the book really was written for us. Like, we didn't write it necessarily for the public. We're like, this is the answer to our prayer and to our challenge and to our problem. The fact that it was beneficial to others and continues to be is wonderful.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I continue. My dad, when I get off track, he refers me back to it. He's like, Deborah, if you're feeling a little stressful, I recommend a really good book for you. You may want to read page 46.
Right back to, well, that's what parents are for, to keep us grounded and let us go and do what we need to, but then they're there to bring us back in and go back to page whatever it is and read this.
Exactly.
That's cool. So now we're up to the book. So take us now quickly to from there to now.
So eventually my business partner, her lupus actually got much worse. And so she wasn't able to speak with me. And this is another reason why I'm so motivated. So my brother passed away. And then here's my business partner, who's this healthy yoga teacher. She's 20 years younger than me, but looks like 20 years older than me, but looks 5 years younger than me. But because of this disease, she had to stop speaking and eventually had to stop being with me within the company. And so, we're still friends, we're still sisters, but it really compels me why this is so important. And I've done leadership training at companies, JP Morgan, British Petroleum, Macy's, all these great companies, and I see these women, type A plus personalities, and when I say certain things, I see it clicking, and I'm like, that's why I'm doing this. I'm not branding myself, I'm a spiritual counselor and I'm here to do that. No, I am a professional peak performance expert, and I bring in these principles that are spiritual in nature to help people to break free from their own minds, to really get that inner world that works, because our inner world creates our outer world. This is in the book Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. It talks about this, how to create your consciousness, which is the sum total of your thoughts, to be able to do that. So now my focus is on this conference. My focus is on taking the message even bigger, which is why we're here on LA Talk Live.
So I want to ask you now, first of the year, we're almost at the end of the month, but every year everyone does, and to that list, does these New Year's resolutions, right? And now that we're January 27th, and some of them have stuck, some of them haven't. So why do so many people fall short of their New Year's resolutions?
Do you know that 86% of people fall off their New Year's resolutions by March? It's like, so if those people that are out there listening thinking of like, don't feel bad, you're not alone. In fact, you're in the majority. The reason I don't even believe in New Year's resolutions, I myself do not make New Year's resolutions. Before the new year starts, I actually took 3 days off to just get really clear on what my goals were, to set my intentions, to write my business plan, to identify how my values and how my lifestyle will match up. But the reason New Year's resolutions do not work is because they're like a laundry list. I want to lose weight. I want to save money. All those things that come down. And the fact is, there's no deadlines with them. Right. There's no incentives. There's no plan.
Right.
It's just like a whole list of dreams.
Right.
I think Jack Canfield, that wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, that says that if you do not have specifics and dates and times, that they're dreams.
Right.
They're not goals.
Right. And we both know this. When you visualize, you have to have an end date. You have to. Otherwise, like you said, it's just a dream. So now it makes sense. So then what should they focus on then? So then for that person who needs that goal, who needs to be able to focus on something, how do they do it if we're saying, the list maybe, or do they put end dates on that list? I mean, how do you speak, please?
And because I work from the inside out,
okay.
I just did a vision board play shop last week. And what we did first was to be grateful for what we have. right?
Right.
Because we cannot create anything if we are feeling like, oh, I failed here, I failed there, this didn't work out, all these disappointments.
Back to the negative.
Yeah, oftentimes people will go through, oh, well, last year I didn't save enough money, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that. The majority of people will go to that, and that's where they're creating from. So they're planting seeds in their garden with weeds, and they're wondering why it's taking so long to get to their goals. So first thing, we clear it by being grateful. The next thing that I recommend people to do is to go back and identify what disappointments did you have last year, and what lessons did you learn? Because success, this show is all about success strategies. Success leaves clues. So we can, once we learn, this is so interesting, and Oprah with her Super Soul Sunday talks about this with Life Class. When we get a lesson, we go to the next grade. If we do not get the lesson, guess what? We get to repeat it. We'll have the same relationship with a different person, the same boss with a different job, the same problem neighbor with a different residence. So the universe is very, very smart, and it will give us what we need in order to go to that next level.
Yeah. And my aunt always says that, because I also, believe in God. And whenever I'm going through something, if I don't learn my lesson, and she'll always remind me, and you better learn your lesson, because if not, you're going to go through this all over again. So interesting that you brought that up.
And then I tell people to focus on 3 goals and to do it just 3.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't make the list of 10 or 12. I mean, you can have your vision for the year and have all of that list and write it down, do the vision board, etc. But just for the first 90 days, which means from now until March, focus on 3 goals. And even you may want to do 1. Like for both of us, for the month of January, we focused on yoga. We said, we are going to do this 30-day yoga challenge. And yes, it's not perfect. I think I did 21 and it's whatever days, or 17, but to focus on, for this month, my focus on health, and what tangible way can I reinforce? I have the little card with the yoga thing, and I put stickers on it every day. And I know the reinforcement for me is to feel confident. It's not about losing weight. It's not about wearing a certain size. It's to feel confident in my own skin. And that's a goal.
That's great.
That's a goal that covers career. It covers money. It covers body. It covers so many areas because it's based on values. So when I coach people, I coach them based not on what the outcome is, but on what the value-based outcome is, because that's your why.
Right.
That's what's going to inspire, motivate you, get you out of bed, or, get us to the yoga studio when we're tired,
and yes. Yeah. So I want to ask, just for clarification, because sometimes I don't understand, and just for those people out there who maybe didn't catch it either. So you say to stick to 3. So is it like 1 per month? Can you do all 3 simultaneously? Does it matter? Is it just up to the person and how they think and learn?
Yeah, I mean, as a general rule, I recommend 3 for a 90-day period of time so that you can really tangibly work on it. I honestly don't recommend more than that. But the key is for being successful is building on success. So you can evaluate and constantly course correct, but at least you have some success to build up to. So at the end of January, I can say, oh my goodness, I did 22 days. Great. Let's build on that success. And maybe for February, try for 25 days, right? Instead of saying, you failed, you didn't do this. Now it's back to eating pizza every night. No. Right?
Okay.
I did have pizza that one night.
That's funny.
Okay, we're going to go out to break. We'll be right back with Inside Out, How to Create a Life You Love, every Monday, 1 p.m. Pacific. We are here on LA Talk Live, where it's more than just talk.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Susie Pruden. And yes, you've seen me on Oprah, Good Morning America, and The Today Show. And I'm inviting you to join me every Monday from 3 to 4 for my new show, Mastermind Live. Join us as we introduce you to the new thought leaders of the world who will inspire you, support you, and guide you to your next level. So don't forget to tune into Mastermind Live exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Sequoia Neff.
And this is Jay Rios.
And I'm Sherrod Moore.
Inviting you to join us every Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Battle of the Sexes as we discuss his and her views on topics no one wants to touch.
Where we keep it 100% real.
And interesting.
And it is pure comedy.
So don't forget to tune in to Battle of the Sexes Mondays at 7 p.m.
Exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and AHA Radio.
Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure.
This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hello and welcome back to Inside Out, how to create a life you love. We are Deborah Darris, your host, and
I am Jules Hurst, and this is Inside Out, how to create a life you love. And we are here every Monday at 1 p.m. at LA Talk Live, where it's more than just talk.
And what better way to start a Monday off right than to create a life you love from the inside out?
Absolutely.
And I really need help in the out department.
I'm
coming out of the closet. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I said that once. I'm coming out of the closet as a spiritual person. I used to, when I would speak, I would kind of, keep that under wraps and not wanted to say that, but now I'm out. But when we talk about inside out and we talk about the outside, let's get into your story and what inspired you and just your background and who you are and how this all got started for you.
Okay. Well, it got started because I needed a job or something to kind of tide us over as I was a stay-home mom. So, so this kind of filled in the little gaps. So it was more like a hobby, so to speak. But I actually have been a big support and believer on first impressions. Mm-hmm. And at 21 years old, I had 2 kids, high school diploma, no car, and their dad believed that child support was optional, not mandatory.
What?
Yeah, one of those, So I left at 21 because it was, also a lot of violence, etc. So I left, and what actually got me through and helped me keep jobs even through the 90s when a lot of people were laying off was that I had an awesome first impression, which was implemented by my mom. She was the one who always made sure that we dressed right and, first impression, even though she didn't call it first impressions, I don't know what she called it, but she pretty much made us aware that you're always judged. Always judged. You're always going to be judged. And then the work ethic, which came from my father, is you have to be just as good. You have to be better than everybody else. I mean, that was pressure. No pressure. And then I'm the oldest, so everything was just, piled into me. And then it just kind of, as everybody else, there's 5 of us all together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So by the time, the last one came, I was like, eh.
How many girls were there?
There's 2 of us.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's myself, my brother, who got the bulk of the whole first impression and the whole work ethic, and then everybody else just kind of lessened for them. But it actually worked out for me because at 21, I have, this situation that I'm now in, and I didn't have time to go back to school. I had to put a roof over our head. I had to put pay for daycare, etc. So I believe first impressions was my saving grace back then.
And that is so powerful because I'm sure there's a lot of people, single mothers at all different ages, that are in that same place where they feel like, oh, I don't have the degree, I don't have this, I don't have that. And what you're saying is that when you talk about the outside, it's perception is projection.
Right.
That they could, by how they dress and how they appear, allow themselves to have that opportunity to have that career to support their family.
Correct. Perception is reality. So whatever I put out there, that's what people are going to perceive me to be. So at 21 years old, yes, I was frightened, et cetera, because I had all of this house stuff going on. But when I went to work, I was professional. I loved suits because it's so thoughtless. You just put the two together, put on some heels, do your hair, do some makeup, and out the door you go, and you look professional. Mm-hmm. So for me, that was what I wanted to put out there, that I am this professional person. And yes, I am a single mom, but don't let that, interfere, because I am, number one, first and foremost, a professional person, and I will do the job that you hire me to do.
And so you were able to start your career just by that first impression and to be able to support your 2 kids on your own?
So many times during the interview, once I got hired, moving to different departments, et cetera, was based on, that would be part of the talk. You look the part was always part of that conversation. Once I walked into that door, my personal problems stayed out there. Once I walked in, it was all about work. That doesn't mean, I'm not that good. I mean, it was always in my mind, but that's not what they paid me to do. They paid me to actually work. And so that's kind of where that first impression started. And now, fast forward a little bit, when I see people and I'm like, oh, come on, stand up straight, shoulders back. Get off that phone.
Okay. You have to hold in my stomach.
Well, it's actually, okay, let me rephrase that. When I know, at coffee houses, so many job interviews are being done at coffee houses.
True.
So when when you're sitting there, I'm a people watcher. So I'll see somebody, walk to an interview and they'll greet the person, lousy handshake. They're kind of shuffling. Their shoulders are a little, and those are the ones I want to go up to and say, shoulders back, good handshake, make a good first impression.
And that's such a good point. There's a lot of unemployment or underemployment out there today, and people think that they should just send a resume and wait at home. But if they would just go to a coffee shop, dress the part, they can network and meet a lot of great people, right?
Right, absolutely.
So when we talk about the out, just so people know who you are and what you do, this became a company. So how did you go from single mom, escaping from a bad relationship, to being a successful entrepreneur?
A lot of hard work, a lot of falls, a lot of people believing in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. And, and then, so I got through those 10 years. It was about 10 years that I was a single mom. Then I met somebody who was, just my, Prince Charming, or, and he kind of came in and helped me, and was perfect. Mm-hmm. So now, so now my girls have the father figure, so it was great. And I was actually selling real estate, but I was never home. So I was able to quit real estate, but I still needed to bring in some extra income. So then that's where the etiquette came in. And that was done because I sent my girls to an etiquette class, and they were being taught how to eat at Denny's and Coco's. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Hopefully I can teach you how to eat at Denny's and Coco's. I'm sending you so that you can learn how to eat at the next level up. That was my intention of sending them. So I thought, well, if that's what they're learning and they're learning what I've kind of already taught them, well, why don't I take classes so that I can be certified and go out and do this? Because, again, I believe in this, and it's my passion. So might as well make money doing it.
Exactly. It's so funny you say that, because that was my goal. Like, who says you can't make money doing what you love?
Right.
And Marianne Williamson, I know I talk about her all the time. She's my spiritual guru. She's running for office, by the way. We'll have her on the show. She says that oftentimes our wound is our teacher.
Right.
So whatever has been our challenge in our life is also what could be our gift to the world. So that obviously was your gift, right?
Right. Yeah.
You're going through that struggle and being able to teach other people how to shine.
And like you said earlier, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter the education. Now, I believe, just, to make me clear, I believe in higher education. I just don't believe that it always has to be a college a university or a traditional college.
No.
You know, it can also be a trade school. It could also be, you know, now we have webinars and this, but you always have to keep learning. You know, and I did it whenever I could. Again, 2 kids, so there'd be times it'd be 3:00 in the morning, and I'm there. Oh, I want to go to sleep. But I did what I had to do.
And so, how can you advise people to have the confidence to get out there and look the part and have that energetic, you know, feeling to be able to go for that job interview or to go to that networking meeting so that they can go to the next level and have that success?
The first thing, see, I needed somebody like you. I think if I would have had that life coach, that, you know, that inspiration constantly as a part of my life, it wouldn't have taken me so long. Again, you know, 21, this all just came about like 2 or 3 years ago. So it's been a long journey.
Wait, you're not 27? She looks it. Doesn't she look good? Don't tell your age. No shame in your game. You're going to say your age?
I'm 44.
I'm 41. I'm single. I like walks on the beach, salsa dancing, yoga. You might as well, right? Put it out there to the universe.
You never know.
You never know.
You can't. So definitely somebody like you, that, you know, that life coach, somebody who will inspire you to achieve more and who believes in you, because you genuinely believe in me and in other, you know, and in our friends and in our group. So that's number 1. Number 2 is then you have to work on the outside, and basically it's faking it until you make it.
Amen.
It really is it.
Right.
I may have been perceived as that professional at 22 years old, but I was scared.
Right.
Absolutely scared. But I had a lot on my shoulders. I had a mom. I had to put a roof over my head. I had to pay for daycare. The list just goes on. And all you single moms or dads know that list is endless.
Right.
So you just have to.
And that is so key when we talk about success strategies, because oftentimes people think, oh, somebody had a silver spoon or they just got it handed to them. People that are successful do not let fear stop them.
Right.
They always say, oh, it was the pain and the fear that motivated me to be better, that motivated me to go on. So like I said, to flip that over. And that's what you did. You made that as a fire.
Right.
And having those 2 beautiful kids, I'm sure, was, you know, taking you.
Yeah, and so many times when I wanted to give up, again, you know, like I said, I've always had people who were my cheerleaders, even when I was not my biggest fan. You know, I just wanted to just throw in the towel and just say, you know, screw this. It's not worth it. But I would look at my girls, and heaven forbid they were ever in the same situation. But let's just say they were. Do I want them to give up? Absolutely not. What would I be telling them? Don't give up. Don't, you know, we would be the mom. So then I thought, well, kids don't learn by speaking. They learn by seeing their parents doing.
Right.
So
modeling.
I kind of really had no choice. I guess you always have a choice.
Right.
I could have said, you know, screw this and just walked away and just figured out day by day. Or I could have been the mom that I want my girls to see and to be the woman that I wanted them to eventually be. So I went that route.
And they're so awesome.
Thank
oh
you.
my God. So when we talk about etiquette and the outside, you know,
Right.
many people think spoons and forks and napkins.
Right.
But what is it really about to you, and how can it position people to be successful in all areas of their lives?
You know, and it's a great question, because this last year, my goal has been to kind of educate people that when I say, you know, I'm an etiquette coach, so many times people go click off because I know how to use my fork and knife. I know I put my napkin on my lap, so I don't need you.
That's good.
And it was like, well, no, it's a way more, you know, etiquette's just the big umbrella. You know, there's decorum, there's social skills. You know, how many people have ever encountered this dialogue and I'm doing this half the time? That's a social skill, and that we're lacking, actually.
You see people at dinner tables and they're texting other people. We're like, oh, I'm glad you're having that great conversation.
Right. So what I do is go in and I teach and I help you be the best person that you can be. So let's just take dining, for example. When you sit down and it's already a set table and you have, you know, forks and your knives and your spoon and everything already out, so many times people will say, I'm not sure. And they're so concentrated on that instead of the company that they're with. Mm-hmm. So if I can give you that confidence by teaching you, this is what you need to do, outside in, you know, et cetera, then all you have to worry about is making a good impression on the people at your table.
And it's so important. I was at this networking meeting and I don't know, I had spilled something on my dress and my friend was like, oh my goodness, you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Absolutely.
And people see you and they have an image of you. And I remember when I first started out, as a young woman networking, I would only go to women's networking meetings because I didn't like the way men were looking at me, right? And maybe they were looking at me because of the way I was dressing, Yeah, because, you know what I mean? I thought, well, if you got it, flaunt it,
Right.
not realizing it was a distraction and they weren't taking me as a professional.
Right.
So for people to learn that
Right.
from the very beginning, especially this new generation, we've
Yes.
got this Y generation that's raised with technology and they may not have the communication and the connection skills that our generation was brought up with.
That's interesting that you say that because so many times, especially like there's a networking event and and it has the word cocktails in it, and for some reason, some young women will think cocktails, party dress, and they'll go with their platform shoes and
Cleavage.
the cleavage and the short dress, and they'll be flaunting it around. And you're absolutely right because perception is reality. So if you're putting that out there, you're going to get a lot of attention, but is that the kind of is that the attention you're looking for? Are you there to build relationships, to build your business or get new sales, whatever your big picture is, or are you just there to meet people?
And that is so important because for years I would go to networking groups and I'd come home with a stack of cards and I'd have all these friends, but I still wouldn't have business.
Right.
And it was like, what are you focused on?
Right.
What is your intention?
Right.
So part of what our show Inside Out is going to give you for these success
Right.
strategies is number one, you're going to have the mindset. You're going to have the consciousness, which
Right.
is the positive thoughts,
Right.
the positive energy to believe in yourself. And then you're going to have the polish.
The polish, yes.
The
finesse.
The finesse. The
Because
grace.
it really does, it really does take both. And and I've said this before, had I had someone like you in my corner, along with the rest of my cheerleaders, it wouldn't have taken me 20 some years to get to here because I would have learned how to deal with all that negativity. Because as entrepreneurs, as you know, that's we're alone
Right.
so many times. And with me, my thoughts just kind of, kick in. And then before I know it, I'm like, oh my God, shut up up there. You go away. But somebody like you, gives us the tools to put on that right hat. And then I can come in and say, hey, now that you have the right mindset, now let's get you to a networking event. Let's get you, have a strategy in place. Let's make the most out of your time.
And it's so important because it's not either or.
Right.
Because some
It's
people
not.
some people think, oh, you just pray and do a vision board and then things will miraculously come on your lap. No.
And we know that's not the truth.
You have to go within, get your inspired action, what to take, come from a place of confidence, then put on the suit, put on the smile,
Right.
put on the attitude, and appropriately and properly go out there.
Right.
And that's what we're going to be talking about every Monday at 1 p.m. But I know our time is coming to an end. It goes so fast. But
It does.
let's talk a little bit about where we're going to be and what's going to be going on for until next week.
Okay.
Where you're at.
So today, right after this, at 4 p.m., any parents out there who have teenage students in Duarte, I'm going to be teaching business etiquette for
Nice.
teens, and it's sponsored by City of Los Angeles or County of Los Angeles Library, so it's completely free.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yep, and it's going to be from 4 to 5 at Duarte Library.
And Jules is like speaking every single day of her life. I was thinking, I'd help her get more speaking engagement. Like, I think she has a lot.
And you, Miss Deborah?
I am doing another vision board play shop. I'm doing one here at the Gateway Barrington Center for Healing this
Okay.
Saturday, February 1st. It's 1 to 5 p.m. People can go on my website, deborahdarris.com, and register. It's just click on vision board. And in addition to that, if you go to my website, Deborah Darris, you can get a free complimentary copy of the book. I'm giving all of the LA Talk Live. I'm like, it's my Oprah moment. Everybody gets a book just for listening. Free books for everyone.
And for anybody who is on the fence about doing a workshop, a vision board workshop, do it. I've taken and I've done, one of your vision boards, and it's the first thing that I see every single morning. So that's the first thing that goes into my mind. So absolutely, positively, you should absolutely come out and do it if you're on the west side, or if you want to take a drive. It's a beautiful day these last few days. So
Oh, God,
drive out
gorgeous.
to the west side. And on my website, juleshurst.com, we have, if you sign up there, you'll have 10 tips on how to ace a perfect first meal. Well, not really your first meal, but the dining tools. I go over what side your fork should be on, what side your knife should be on, et cetera, et cetera. So you can get that at my website, juleshurst.com.
Wonderful. I'm so looking forward to being here every Monday at 1 o'clock. I mean, this is what it's all about. We don't have to do it alone. We don't have to figure out how to create
Right.
success, whether you're looking for a job, whether you want to move up the career ladder, whether you want to start a business from scratch. It's so important for us to have the strategies. And we don't want to keep them to ourselves. We want to give them all to you so you don't have to take the same amount of years we took. You can cut it down in half. Hopefully this is like a course. Just you're
absolutely.
tuning in 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock every week will give you so many tools to be able to make more money, honey.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's not a reason to tune in, I don't know what is.
So, Deborah, can you please spell your name for us?
Yes, it's the biblical way. Deborah, Deborah. And my last name is Deras, Deras. And it's .com. I got to keep it in the divorce like Tina Turner. So
All
that was
right.
mine.
And mine is Jules Hurst, JulesHirst.com.
Yes. So I'm so looking forward to hearing your comments because our shows are going to be based on your questions and your challenges. So make
Yes.
sure you follow us on our social media. It's all on the website, latalklive.com, for our Facebook and Twitter page. And if you have a certain topic you want to hear about, we
Let
will
us
have a
know.
show just for you. That's
let
what
us
we're here
know.
for.
Absolutely. Okay, so besides your workshop, the Rise Up series,
Oh, yeah.
we got to plug that. So this Saturday is week 2 of the Rise Up series, and I believe they are talking about health. That is week 2, and then week 3 is myself talking about networking, as well as Olivia Rios and Alex Marquez, who will be talking about social media, and then I believe then the following week you're on deck.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, and I'm talking about Vision Board and the power of energy. And so for information on that, you can go to, on my website, deborahdaris.com. If you click calendar, it's the Rise Up series, and it's going to be amazing. It's every Saturday for the next 8 weeks.
Right, in Pomona. So anybody who's out in the Inland Empire out that way, it's in, like I said, in Pomona, and it's from 10 to 3 p.m.
It's worth the drive, even if you're not out that way.
Yeah, that early in the morning. I think it took me like 40 minutes to get there because there was no traffic, surprisingly, on the 10. There was no traffic whatsoever. So that
And
was
I
great.
believe in investing in ourselves.
You have to.
I mean, you could spend the day Saturday watching a game, which, I will watch the Super Bowl on Sunday. But, we also, whatever we give away, we get to keep. So we want to invest time and energy in ourselves. So I'm always doing courses and workshops. So I invite you to do the same.
Right, and what better time to do it than at the beginning of the year?
Exactly.
Yeah, that
So did you have fun, Jules, on our first show?
I did. How about you, Miss Deborah?
I did. I thought this was really fun. Anytime I could be on the microphone.
Yes, I know.
So we are looking forward to be here every Monday at 1 p.m. Inside Out, how to create a life you love.
And remember, it's your life, so we need to hear from you. Send us your questions, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, baby, sweet baby, what am I gonna do? Baby, sweet baby, my baby, what am I gonna do with you? Been making love for hours
tuning in to LA Talk Live, reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. Stay tuned.